Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Minister Barbara Creecy, is briefing the media on the outcomes of the recent international climate change talks, or COP27. South Africa participated in the 27th Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change that was in Sharm el-Sheik. Let's listen in live to that address by the Minister Creecy.
Energy Transition Partnership. He presented our country's investment plan and indicated that South Africa will need in the region of $1.5 trillion in climate financing over the next 5 years to implement the plan. He also stressed that the money required should be in the form of highly concessional loans and grants. He indicated that the South African government would now employ a project manager who will be responsible to implement the JET IP as soon as the Presidential Climate Commission concludes its work on stakeholder consultations on the plan. Now, if I can turn to the final COP27 outcome, the outcome reflects the urgency of the climate crisis and the need to keep the 1.5-degree temperature target alive during what the International Panel on Climate Change calls the critical decade, including by providing a clear program to advance the mitigation agenda from now until 2026. This agreement on a 4-year work program consists of at least 2 global dialogues and a review at the end of the 4 years on whether to continue the program after 2026. The mitigation work program will cover the IPCC's 2006 key emissions sectors and will also reflect the IPCC's Working Group 3 report. There will be an annual decision by the Conference of the Parties to the Paris Agreement for each of the 4 years. The agreed text in the all-important cover document frames the climate crisis and its solutions in terms of sustainable development goals and just transitions, leaving no one behind, and the need for broader financial sector reform to achieve these. The call for multilateral consensus on making financial flows consistent with pathways towards low emissions and climate resilient development could open new investment opportunities in Africa for clean energy investments critical for addressing energy poverty on the continent. The key milestone agreed to at COP27 was on financial arrangements to address loss and damage due to climate change. COP27 agreed to set up a fund on loss and damage. It established a transitional committee to work on the modalities of this fund with a view to taking a decision at COP28 in 2023. COP27 also emphasized the need for increased momentum to reform the multilateral development banks and international financial institutions, and called on the stakeholders of these institutions to take decisive action to scale up climate finance in 2023 and make their institutional arrangements fit for purpose. There was also agreement amongst parties to accelerate work on reducing vulnerable societies due to climate change impacts. While we must acknowledge that from our national perspective, we did not see the advancement on actually operationalizing the global goal on adaptation we had been hoping for. In particular, South Africa had called for a target to increase the resilience of the global population to the effects of climate change by 50% by 2030. We had also called for COP27 to establish a framework for the global goal on adaptation that contained high-level indicators and targets to galvanize collective global action and support. Instead, the outcome focused on more workshops to build understanding in critical sectors such as health, poverty and livelihoods, terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems, oceans and coasts, water resource management, food, cities and settlements, cultural heritage and mountain regions and biodiversity. Our negotiation team will, of course, engage in these discussions with a view to setting up concrete targets and indicators that can help us track progress on reducing vulnerability of our own population. Now, the COP presidency's package on finance in the context of the failure of developed countries to meet the US $100 billion goal by 2030 provides incremental progress on moving forward to the establishment of the new collective goal by 2025, but it does fall short of action to meet developed countries' obligations. As I said earlier, COP27 has provided the momentum to reform the multilateral development banks and international financial institutions, and we do expect shareholders of these institutions to take decisive action to scale up climate finance in 2023 and make their institutions fit for purpose. On the sidelines of the actual negotiation, COP27 also marked the 5th South African Pavilion partnership between our department and the National Business Initiative, which showcased the collaboration between government and business in the fight against climate change. The South African Pavilion provided an excellent platform for business and government to showcase our efforts towards co-creating and implementing a just transition to net zero emissions by 2050. More than 50 events were hosted at the Pavilion during COP27. Thank you very much.